Welcome to the Waiting Warriors podcast. I'm Michelle Bowler. I'm an Army wife of over 8 years, a mom of 4 little girls, and a huge believer that being a supportive military or first responder loved one is way easier when you connect with a community. In addition to sharing some of my own insights and journey, I have set out to interview waiting warriors around the world so we can all learn together from their triumphs and their struggles. Together, we can do so much more than just survive. We can thrive. And that is what being a waiting warrior is all about. Hey, waiting warriors. Welcome to another week on the podcast. I'm Michelle Bowler, your host, and welcome our guest. Round of applause, all you listening, for Shea Sines. Welcome to the show, Shea.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So Shea is, her husband's been in active duty Army for 10 years, and she owns her own business, which we will talk and is actually the sponsor for this podcast episode about your business is not about. Your business is in the relocation industry, and she's got 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So real fast, your business is box ops.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, just saying packing labels, like your PCS, you're moving, like that seems so lame because you don't really envision how cool these are.
Yep.
But you also, when we first started military life and all our moves, I don't think I would have said cool and packing labels.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was the same way. The first couple moves, I was like, I'll just, we just wing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I kind of regretted it after. So this was just an easy tool, an easy organization tool.
Yeah.
So,
and it's funny how they really can be a game changer. I haven't used them yet. We're going to use them this PCS coming up.
Yeah.
But I've seen them on, I've seen them. Lots of my friends have used them. But for people that the podcast knows, like Mallory from the Diddy Mama. What's her Instagram handle? Mama's on the Move.
Mama's on the Move. Yep. But she's Diddy Mama. Yeah.
Mama's on the Move. She's used them. And then you just got Jordan Page showed them.
Yes. Yes, her and Alexa Anglin and there's been a couple influencers. It's like hard to get a hold of them because they've all got their assistants. Alexa Anglin was really cool because she answers all of her own emails. She's like one of the real ones,
That's
so
cool.
But yeah, they're like hard to get a hold of. That's like one of the easiest ways to market yourself. And it's like, if you can get a hold of them,
Yeah. Well, it's cool. Like I don't know, I love seeing how other people use them because then it's just like such a simple thing, like a packaging label.
Yep.
I'm not saying packaging, packing. I mean,
it's all the same. Yeah. No, it's just an easy way to like prevent that move-in day overload feeling. Like it's such an overwhelming feeling when you move into a house and you have boxes everywhere. Usually the living room or something becomes like the scapegoat for all of these like unidentified boxes, and you're like, where the heck does this go? So then you're like, going through everything. And so it's just a time saver, it's a stress saver, it's just an easy way to avoid all that mess. So
you have solved a big problem for a lot of us. So thank you. So I reached out to Shea to come on because she did a post on the Box Ops Instagram, and it was just about how you said life is written in pencil and we get to rewrite our expectations. Did you one that just hit me? It's something I've known and I've thought before, but I love rehearing things like that all the time because every PCS, every 6 months, I mean, the way that the last year has been, every month, something new is going on, and it's good to have those reframes. So it really hit me and made me think how awesome that is. But do you always think that, or has that been something that's kind of you've been taught along the way?
No, it was definitely the latter. It wasn't like an immediate mindset. It was a little background. So I went to school to undergrad and grad school for the same thing. I went for sports management, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna have this awesome career in sports, right?
Yeah.
Like I had awesome connections. I had internships. I worked in NASCAR. I worked for the American Le Mans
Cool.
series, which I was I was in TV production. I was a camera operator for ESPN for the racing series, and then I had worked for Alabama football. I mean, I had just like I felt like I had it made, and
Yeah.
you know, when we got married and started moving around the country, it was just like a rude awakening. You know, like you're applying to all these jobs, and you're also like limited to what's in your area a lot of times.
Right.
So you're doing your best, but sometimes it's just not enough. And so, um, kind of like how the theme of 2020 was. I mean, military spouse life is all about pivoting all the
Mhm.
time. I mean, we were like already that was already a thing for us. So, yeah, I mean, it was just it was gradual. Um, Probably over the course of I would say 3 years. I mean, after applying to like dozens of jobs, it just gets really tiresome and you're like, okay, let's regroup here. You know, what you kind of have to like reset yourself. You have to think, well, maybe what I wanted when I was younger, like maybe I don't have like I can rewrite it, you know, like kind
Yeah.
of like what I told you. You can go back and, you know, erase it and start over.
Yeah.
Which military spouse life, that's already a theme for us. Our whole life is written in pencil. Like don't make plans for anything. And so, you know, I mean, it's just one of those things where you have to kind of regroup and start over, you know?
Yeah. Which, like, we know not to write in pencil, but still, I find myself wanting to hold on
Mhm.
to, like,
Yep.
I don't know if it's that I wanna hold on to something or, um, I don't know, like, like, some kinda what you were saying, like, our dreams about how our future would be, like, what we
Mhm.
envisioned our life as, like, that
Mhm.
it's not necessarily easy to just drop. It's easy to say like, "Oh, well, I love him," and, it's easy
Mhm.
to say, but then to do it, to not be resentful,
Yeah.
but then also to build another life.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
how have you done that? Because what you're doing now is
Yeah.
not NASCAR, is not,
Yeah. Yeah. I
anywhere
definitely was
close.
resentful at first. I think we're all a little resentful at
Yeah,
first. I mean, it's just bittersome when you're going through deployment after deployment and you're just like raising these kids on your own. And I mean, it's not to complain. It's just, you know, it's hard. And
yeah,
so, you know, military spouses don't have like that village to lean on all the time.
mhm,
So, but I had, you know, how I got there after, you know, going through like that bitter phase was I had an aunt one time. She was a former army wife and then retired. And she was like, well, you know, I loved moving around so much because it's like every time you go somewhere, you can kind of like reinvent yourself. And I was
hmm,
like, oh, huh, like why didn't I ever think of that, you know? And it's so simple. It's just it's a perspective shift, you know? You have
yeah,
to think, okay, well maybe the expectations that I set for myself years ago, that doesn't have to apply today. I can like success doesn't like we all have this like idea of success, right?
mhm,
Um and it doesn't have it's not linear, like you don't, you know, it's not a straight shot for all of us. So, you know, we have to kind of um find our way there and like forge
yeah,
our own path. And um I think military spouse life is just I mean we have a lot like every time we move it's another roadblock, but
yeah,
you got to find the detours, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's what I always say. So,
yeah.
just got to
Which
go around it.
do you feel like there's I don't know if irony is the word. Isn't it ironic, like that song?
Yeah.
That, like, or do you think it blends well that, like, being a waiting warrior, we are like, it's demanded that we be flexible, that we find the detours, but then also we are the home front, and we're the military spouse, and um, we're the glue, and we're supposed to be, um, we need to be strong for our families. We have to be immovable in our marriage, right? Like there's the
Mhm.
commitment and the that we're gonna be here, but then
Mhm.
at the same time, we have to be flexible.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, has that been how do you navigate being all those things that kind of are opposite and ironic, but, like, how have you welded those together so you can still be writing in pencils
Mhm.
writing in pencil, you know what I mean? Writing in pencil.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's probably the hardest part because you're expected to kind of hold down the fort, right? You've
Mhm.
got um, everything going on through deployments, TDYs. You are literally holding down the fort back home. You're doing soccer practices and doctor's appointments and school and like everything else. And then on top of it, you're trying to build something that's your own too.
Yeah.
And so there's like an interesting balance that you have to find. And um, like for me, I've kind of and COVID has kind of like made this a little simpler, but I've had to like sacrifice some things. I've sacrificed, social time for myself, honestly, which we don't do a whole lot of that right now anyway.
Yeah.
I've just been in that like mindset of like I'm focused on what I want and you don't and everybody's idea of that looks different. Like everybody has a different passion or whatever it is, and that's the cool part about military life is there's so much that you can do that fits into the lifestyle. There's a lot of
Mhm.
different ways to be flexible. You can be a maker and you can sell on Etsy or Spousely or Amazon or whatever. You can be a creative and sign up on and sell your services on Fiverr.com. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much. You can like learn coding. You can learn to code from your home. There's just I don't know. I think that perspective shift really helped me. Like, there's just so much that I could be doing. And I actually started this business over our second deployment, and that was the
Really.
thing that kind of like kept me going the whole time. And I bought an industrial printer, a $2,000 printer. That was basically what we had. My husband let me have our tax return that year, and he was like, "Okay, go ahead, use it how you want it." And I was like, "Yes." Um, and so I bought a printer and I just started printing these labels. I bought colored labels and just started printing away. And over that deployment, I printed like 100,000 labels, and that's how I got started. I was like selling all
Wow.
of these labels
Yeah.
online, and yeah, it's just I mean, there's just you gotta learn to be flexible, but also realize that there's a lot out there. You just have to be willing to maybe make a change. So
Yeah. So is flexible even the right word?
that's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, like, flexible, yeah, I mean, military lifestyle is not yeah, it's I don't know.
When you were saying, like, the detours thing, it almost
Mhm.
made me think, like, are we flexible or are we just really good navigators?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
and that's
I
what
think that's what it is. Yeah,
yeah.
because military life is not flexible. It's,
Yeah.
"Oh, you be here at this time," and, "Oh, your husband's leaving on this day," and, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
you're expected to do this." "Oh, we have an FRD event," I mean, there's so
Yeah.
much going on. It's not flexible, and your life is built around this. I mean, our
Yeah.
lives are built around the military. Like, if my husband is at work, and I have a meeting with a manufacturer. Well, guess who gets priority? My husband.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I mean, I've gotten really good at, um, you know, being on the phone with suppliers while I'm loading the dishwasher or printing labels while I'm nursing a baby. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. You do what you got to do. So yeah,
I don't know why, and maybe this is weird to some people, but, like, I love it when I hear or see women working while they're nursing. Not
yeah,
that, like, you're
yep,
not allowed to just sit and relax while
yeah.
you're nursing, but I feel like a woman printing labels while she's nursing,
Yeah.
like, just
You
doing
should have seen you
anything.
should have seen it. I didn't have anyone there to take a picture of it. I wish I had, but yeah. It's
Like,
just one of those things you're in the moment and you're like, "Ugh, what am I doing with my
what are
life?"
we doing?
But yeah,
But it's just like,
yeah,
you're just not being stopped. But I
yeah,
also like, I love the I like that idea that we're just navigating, like, we don't
yep.
have to
There's
and
always gonna be a new roadblock. You just
yeah.
yeah, you just but there's always a detour around it. You just have
Yeah.
to that like I said, that perspective shift. I mean, you just have to realize that they're and for a long time I was stuck in this mindset of like, wow, like I'm just probably not going to work for the next 20 years. I mean, because we already committed to, staying in, and I was like, you know, I just have to suck it up. And then, when you kind of get into that new mindset, it's like eye opening. It's like, wow, there's so much for me to do, where I can still achieve success. It's not the success that I imagined it would be, but it could be even better. I mean, you just have to be willing to commit to it and
Yeah.
give it a shot. So.
Yeah. Which is so funny because it's like we have these dreams about what life is going to be, whether it
Mhm.
like for you, it was what you were going to be doing with your career. For some people, it's that we actually thought our husbands would be home all
Mhm.
the time. Like
Yeah.
whatever it is, there's so
Mhm.
many things that military life can change. But like I love what you're saying is that like it's not an all or nothing. Like that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that happiness
Right.
is not possible and you'll just
Mhm.
wait until he's done to be happy. Like
No, yeah, there's no point in waiting. That would be I think I would look back on it and be like, regretful a little bit. So,
yeah,
and for some people, I mean, we all want something different. Some people love just staying at home and
yeah,
being a stay-at-home mom, and for a while I did enjoy that. Um, but there was just, you just get that feeling, or there's just some sort of inkling where you're like,
yeah,
there's like I need to do something else. And
yeah,
like for me, it was this feeling of like I did all that work. I did grad school, I did all of these internships and all of this work experience. And by the way, when you're working in sports, a lot of those internships are working for free. Like
yeah,
that's a competitive landscape, and you're not getting paid. So it's like I did all of that for what? But now I'm looking back on it and I'm like, wow, a lot of what I did, is actually applicable now. Like I learned marketing, and I learned a little bit
mhm,
of finance, and I learned a little bit of, um, advertising and PR. Like I have at least enough skills to where I can like make it into something else and make it my own.
yeah,
Um, and then, you have to kind of find that blend of, okay, so like what's my passion, but
mhm,
and how can I also s- like problem solve with it, because ultimately like the most successful businesses are the ones that are problem solving.
yeah,
Um and so how can I find that happy medium of like passion and problem solving? So,
yeah,
yeah.
which is awesome because like I don't know, maybe you did, but my
Mhm.
guess is when before you were married, you weren't even like making
Oh, wasn't
packing
even on my
deals, like
radar.
yeah, but like I don't know, like
Like me
it's so
sitting
funny.
here, I'm like, I sell moving supplies now? What? Yeah, no, not even on my radar.
But it is a good fit, and I would assume it, like, gives you some fulfillment. You
Mhm.
look like you're having fun with what you're doing,
Mhm.
but yet, like, if you had just said, "Oh, well, I can't do what I envisioned myself doing," so
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just a
And
creative
and a lot of times when you start something new, like when you find that thing, like for me, it was this, and this actually started, in 2018 is when I first started like developing these like feelings to switch towards this industry.
Mhm.
We PCS'd, and that PCS was like the worst ever. And we've moved like 7 times in 7 years, and that was
Yeah,
hands down the worst. That claim that I filed was like a $15,000 claim that year, and it was just, I mean, they had lost so much of our house, it was just gone, poof. And I'm like, how is this possible?
yeah,
No. Um, and that was a hard summer for me because like my husband was TDY. As soon as we got there, I was super pregnant, filing this large claim all summer long.
mhm,
I'm just stressed out to the max. And I'm like, okay. And once I got the claim in, I was like how can I fix this? And so I just started writing down ideas like, how can I prepare better? How can I get organized better? How can I prevent certain, I mean, how can I help them, maybe like find my boxes better or whatever it is. And so I just started like writing down ideas. And I had this notebook, and I just started like drawing things out, and then it kind of just snowballed from there. And it turned into what it is now. And there's like I have like do you have like the notes app in your phone?
Yeah.
I have hundreds of notes of and like a full business plan now. It doesn't look like that on the outside, but I do
Yeah.
have like a lot more coming. I mean, these labels and these tools that I'm selling right now are really just kind of an entry into
Yeah.
what I hope it will be someday.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, it's on a much grander idea. This is more of just like to get a cash flow for what I really want
Right.
to do. So we'll see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, like your eyes, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see like her eyes are getting all glittery and excited and like you know, whether you work or you
Mhm.
stay at home, like we all need
Yep.
like, it doesn't have to be a business, but like have a
Right.
hobby,
Yeah.
have something
Totally. Yep.
that gets your eyes all glittery and is like,
Yep.
ooh, like I have a friend that it's oh, what's it called? Like the pour painting, acrylic
Yeah.
painting? Like,
Yeah.
have you seen those cool things? And then she does
Yeah.
all these fancy things with strings
Exactly.
and,
Yep.
um
There's so I mean, any sort of graphic design or
yeah,
I mean, and like you said, it doesn't have to be a business. It can be like a
yeah,
a passion project where you actually can maybe make a little bit of money off of it, but you're
yeah,
really just doing it out of the love for it, I mean, we all need something. So,
yeah. But and again, like, I just love the idea that, like, you just get to rewrite your expectations. I don't know. I
mhm.
don't know if, like
Mhm.
I
Yep.
don't know if everybody else is like, "Yeah, Michelle, that's, like, always been a thing," or whatever, but the way my life is,
Mhm.
like, just looks so much different than I thought it would. Like, I always
Exactly.
thought I would like, I always knew I wanted a lot of kids. Um,
Mhm.
there was a part of me that, like, had an inkling because I grew up, like, in a marine town, so, like, I had
Mhm.
an inkling that I would marry a military man or something or that, like,
Right.
that could be, but still, like, when I pictured, this Saturday
Mhm.
my family was gonna have or what my life was gonna be like, it just looks different, and I just
Yep.
love that, like, I can't have what I envisioned. Like, I
Mhm.
just can't,
Yeah.
but that, like, I can still get the twinkle in my eye. Like,
Mhm.
it's possible, and I don't know.
Yeah. When you find it, you know. You just know. And that's kind of like where I'm at. Like you just know. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I'm not even being paid to do this. I'm not paying myself yet. I'm
Mhm.
not at that point yet but I'm fine with it. And it's just one of those things where it's like you just do it and you just keep going because you're not ready to I mean, it's just, you do it because you love it and yeah, I agree. And like I said earlier, the our younger vision of like what we
Mhm.
thought it would be. Like I think I expected I was going to have like, 4 kids and here I am with 2 and I'm like, "Nah, I think we're good." But it's okay for plans to change and I think that's something that especially a lot of newer military spouses should understand is like if your plans change, that's okay. That's fine,
Yeah,
and not just military spouses, that applies to like anybody.
yeah,
Um, it's okay to change your mind. So
yeah. Which is like, again, I don't know, maybe it's so given to some people, but to me, it's like, "Oh,
yeah,
yeah."
yep,
And
yep.
but not even like, "Oh, yeah," but like I don't know. It's empowering, I guess.
Hmm.
So,
I agree.
last question, and my favorite, what is your key to thriving that you wanna share with your fellow waiting warriors?
Um, I would have to say, kind of going off of the theme of this whole chat. So a little background. So I had somebody gave me a bracelet a long time ago. A friend gave me a bracelet, and it says "Make your own luck." And I feel like that is kind of like, you know, that encompasses like what we've talked about. Like, you know, you have the power to make your own luck. You might not be in control of whether you get a job or whether, somebody hires you
Mhm.
or what that job is or whatever. But you do have control over, your own capabilities and your own life and, you can forge your own path.
Yeah,
So,
you
yep.
get to write it. That reminds me of, I've been saying it to my kids a lot. I had the same
Mhm.
elementary principal. Gosh, words are hard. It's almost almost 10 o'clock for us though, okay?
I know.
Um, elementary principal, and he always said every single day on the intercom, because that was the technology we had back then.
Mhm.
He'd say, "Make it a great day or not. The choice is yours. Like
Yep.
your own luck. Like you
Yeah.
get
Make
to,
your own luck. Yep.
you
Yep.
get that choice." And it's true.
Yep.
Yeah, that's like exactly what we're saying. Like every day,
Mhm.
you get the choice. You get to choose what you're gonna do,
Yep.
and you can find something
Yep.
awesome. I
And
want the
especially with COVID, I mean, it's hard enough to, like, so many people are struggling and you're like, people are just pivoting left and right to do something else, and, you know, the time is now or never. So,
It's true.
yeah.
Solid advice. If somebody wants to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do it? Or if they want to get your box ops, your packing labels. Why am I?
Yeah, you can find us on well, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, I think we're on Twitter, not as active there yet, but you can find us mostly active on Instagram or Facebook, at Team Box Ops, so team and then box, BOX, and then OPS, Box Ops.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then and then on Etsy it's boxops.etsy.com. So,
Okay.
mhm.
Cool.
Yep.
Is that
We're
how
work
you
we're working
sell?
on our own website right now. It's just it hasn't launched yet, so we're still working through that. So
I did same. Good luck with that. Holy cow.
thanks. Yeah.
Who knew that websites were like
Yeah.
massive, massive work?
Yeah. A lot of work and a lot of preparation because, like, you're like, what do I need to plan for?
Yeah.
What if it's underwhelming, or what if it's overwhelming? What if there's a lot to plan for, a lot of details to figure out, logistics and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So crazy.
Well, cool. I'm
Yeah.
excited for you guys. Go say hi.
Thanks.
Go check them out. And seriously, like, again, it like who would have thought I would have said cool and like packing labels in the same thing, but really you want these labels. Like you really
Thank you. Thank you.
really,
Yeah,
you really
they're like special because, like, well, and I used my labels this summer and I was like, how can it, like, there's got to be a better way, because I like to label like every side of the box,
yeah,
because I like to be able to see it if they're like stacked up. I don't want to have to move them and stuff.
yeah.
And so that's why I changed it to where they like wrap around the corner.
So I know
Yeah. Yeah.
that was the thing where it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you like are writing it on every side, but
Yep.
yeah, well
And the color coding helps with, like, if you are going to like Korea or Germany, maybe there's like a language barrier. So like if you get the door hangers, they match the box colors, and so it's just easier for the movers to kind of fit. There's no communication necessary.
yeah.
So
She
yep.
thought of a lot of it, guys. You really do like just make your life easier. And if you're like me, where
Mhm.
you're a really big cheapo and you think like, okay, like how much are they? I don't even, they're not expensive.
They're anywhere. It depends on how big of a set you get, but
Right.
yeah, like they start out at like in the low 20s or
Right.
mid 20s, I think, and they can go up to like 50. It just depends on like how many products you get.
Right.
So
Okay. So even if you spend the whole whopping 50, 60
mhm.
bucks,
Mhm.
huge number. For
Yeah.
me, I always like, okay, that is like 60 bucks. I can do a lot with 60 bucks.
Yep.
Even if you're like me, just this is something I've learned as a military spouse,
Mhm.
especially with the PCS. Spend the money on the stuff that will make your life
That
easier.
matters, yes.
Yeah. This
And that's
is one
like
of those
I
things.
was very intentional about the
Yeah.
products. Like one of them is a lost box label,
Yeah.
and that is like from my own experience of, like I said, they lost like a third of our house, and I wish that I had written my phone number, email, something on there, because like I feel like if I had had some sort of identifying information on there, they probably would have found it and been
Yeah.
able to return it. And so that's why, like, I was very intentional about designing them, like the lost box label. It's just preventative maintenance, I mean,
Yeah.
if it's stuck in a warehouse somewhere, or if it gets delivered to the wrong family, it happens all the time, and
Yeah.
so the chances of you getting it back are a lot higher. Like there's and I learned a lot off of PCS pages. I mean, if you go on Facebook, lost during my PCS like a pro, there's a whole bunch of them, and there's just
Yeah.
so many like horror stories on there, and I'm like, and I so I get a lot of inspiration from there too, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Which like can be so intimidating is not the right, but like
Mhm.
horrifying, like
Mhm.
or scary. All of those things where like
Mhm.
you start to dread your PCSs, but again, like guys, spend the money, and then it gives you that peace of mind. And maybe if this is your first one, then maybe you'll spend the money and you'll be like,
Mhm.
oh, but nothing wrong happened. Was it really worth
Mhm.
it? Yes, the fact that nothing wrong happened
Yeah.
is
Yep.
the thing. Like,
Yep. And even for ditties too, even if you're doing a
yeah,
ditty, like, you don't need the door hangers, but the labels still come in handy
yeah,
too.
yeah,
It's just a game changer. So, yeah.
awesome. Well, go check
Yeah.
them out. I know I'm using them from now on, and it's
Oh
gonna
boy.
go smoothly because I have a product like a listing from another
Mhm.
military spouse, and then
Yep.
your
Yep.
labels. Like, no,
Mhm.
I'm good. I don't have to
Yep.
stress about it because I'm doing things that make my
Yep.
life easier.
Yep.
That's the way to do
I
it.
know, it's like one of those things where it's like as soon as you hang things on the walls, "Nope, you're moving," you
Yeah.
know? I saw there was something, it was like someone made like a candle and it said, "Military wives, as soon as the kid it smells like as soon as the kids find their bedrooms, it's time to move again," or something like that. I was like, "Yeah, it's so true. It's so true." Like, I can't even, like, hang one thing. As soon
Yeah.
as I feel like I'm like, "Oh, I kinda like this setup I have here." Nope.
Yeah. Time to move. We're
Yep.
just gonna be pro interior decorator is not the right word,
Mhm.
but Tetris how to
Yep.
make the house work because we have seen
Yeah.
all sorts of
It's so
different
true. I've blown through a couple different types of couches and sectionals and everything else. Well, they actually lost our sectional, so there's that. I had to get a new couch, but yeah, no. And that's the other thing is like with military spouses, and that's part of the business idea that I'm working on is one avenue that I'm interested in pursuing would be leveraging the knowledge that military spouses have with the moving industry
yeah.
um, to help everyday people, civilians, doesn't matter, anybody, whether it be through consulting or whatever it is. But I feel like we can really leverage military spouses and the knowledge that they have um,
It's
through
true.
this industry to, you know, why not? I mean, I'm such a big,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like the entrepreneur mindset or what, but like why not profit off of what you know, you know?
Yeah.
So
It's true.
yeah,
That's what everybody else does. Like,
yeah,
look at
yeah,
any business, it's just because they know something that nobody else does.
yep,
So
yep.
we trade
If you
value.
have a knowledge or a skill
Yeah.
set that nobody else has, why are you not charging for it?
Yeah.
So
It's not greedy.
yeah.
Anyways, we'll talk about that later.
Mhm.
But thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for
We're
having me.
go check out Shea, Team Box Ops
Mhm,
on Instagram, and then Box Ops for the website and stuff. And I'll put all the links
mhm.
um, on YouTube. It'll be in the caption. Show notes for if you're listening to the podcast, just find where those show notes are on your podcast platform. Thanks again, Shay. And guys,
Thank
remember,
you.
just because it's hard doesn't mean it has to be miserable. And using things like box ops makes it not miserable. Even when it's hard.
Yep, yep.
Thanks again, Shay.
Thank you.
Today's sponsor is Box Ops. Box Ops is a pioneer in the relocation industry. They are creating amazing tools that really assist you in the overwhelming moving process. They have the widest selection of organization tools, including amazing moving box labels that allow you to organize by category, content, and room, and matching door hangers to get the whole color coordinated flow going, which really streamlines your moving in day and lets your movers navigate the home independently. You can purchase these at boxops.etsy.com, and they do have free shipping for purchases $35 or more. And if you are watching on YouTube, you can see how amazing these are, how many there are. She has really thought of everything. This is a military spouse business that I fully support. I really know that this will help a ditty. This will help a move that the military is doing for you, helps you stay organized, helps you stay on top of things, and just helps the whole process go so much smoother. So go get yourself some box ups, support yourself, make it easier for yourself, and support a military spouse.